Sweat drips down his face as he curses his bad luck and pain. Collapsing forward, he realizes he failed and whatever he was fighting has escaped. With shaking hands, he pops open a bottle, desperate enough to drink anything. He gulps the liquid fast, even though it looks more like poison than medicine. Right as he drinks, his vision glitches and a ghostly image presses close, making him freeze in confusion. The bottle drops as his body flips and crashes, like the drink just hit him with a full system reboot. Lying flat, green fluid dribbles from his mouth while he panics that he cannot even move right. His eyes start to close, and for a second it looks like he is dying again already. Then the golden and purple threads swirl above him, and something finally locks onto him instead of rejecting him. His eyes flare open, and he realizes he found a body that can actually hold his soul. Sitting up, he gasps for air and checks himself like a guy who just woke up in someone else's life. Staring at his hands and the bloody uniform, he freaks out, wondering what kind of mess he got dropped into. Noticing he is somehow alive, he raises his hands like he just discovered he respawned in the worst place possible. Strange, laughter-like echoes fill the forest, and the dead orange creatures around him make the vibe extra cursed. He throws his arms wide and celebrates being alive, even though the giant hole in his chest says he should not be. As his memory clears, he remembers his name is Noah, but everything else is still a messy pile of fragments. Seeing the empty bottle leaking green sludge, he realizes the last owner probably just drank poison like a champ. He grabs a note on the ground, still crouched like a detective in a crime scene he caused. Reading it, he learns the body belonged to a guy named Vermal, and the drink was supposed to be a healing potion. Looking at the spilled potion, he decides it sent Vermal to the afterlife instead, meaning this body had enemies and bad friends. But before he became Vermal, Noah has experienced death first. After death, everything is pitch black, and the only thing left is that scary question of what you think about while you drown. The poor soul sinks deeper and admits it is not even memories, just empty panic and a mouthful of water. With his mind breaking apart, he can barely remember who he even is anymore. All around him is nothing but darkness as his body falls like a rock into the deep. A thin, golden glimmer appears, yanking his existence like a string towards some strange village with lizard people. Up close, one of those lizard folk stares like this is a normal Tuesday, while his world blurs past. Thank the Gromp he did not reincarnate into this one. The golden thread keeps dragging him through scenes and lives, like a soul getting tossed between worlds. Even when he lands in a baby's life, the body rejects him and he gets ripped out again. Once more, the same rejection hits, and the thread flings him away like he is unwanted mail. Finally, the thread leads him into a fancy bedroom where someone important is lying on a huge bed surrounded by attendants. A baby cries somewhere in the chaos, and the cycle of being reborn keeps repeating like a cruel loop. After countless failures, it cuts to a dead forest where bodies litter the ground, hinting this time is different. A wounded man, Noah Vines, struggles to breathe, clutching a nasty hole in his chest as if he is seconds from quitting. Instead of spiraling, Noah decides to worry later, because living comes first. Standing among the corpses, he studies the small orange monsters and jokes they are not the kind of monkeys he knows. A close look at one monster shows it is too small to have made that huge chest wound. From the wider view, he figures something bigger attacked Vermal, and the forest is still dangerous. He touches the bloody hole in the uniform and hopes whatever did it is already gone, which is famous last words. A red, hostile aura creeps in behind him, like the forest itself is locking onto prey. Up in the trees, a huge orange beast snarls with drool dripping, basically a nightmare baboon on steroids. A single drop falls onto Noah's head, and he slowly looks up with the worst timing imaginable. The monster perches on a branch under a blinding moon, and Noah realizes he is the only fresh snack left. With no warning, the beast slams down in front of him, cracking the ground like it owns the place. Noah's face goes blank with terror, because his rebirth speedrun just hit a boss fight. The monster raises a clawed arm and swings, screaming like it is trying to win an award for loudest jump scare. Noah wonders where the heck he got reborn, because this is not the peaceful isekai package. He barely dodges as the claws slice the ground behind him, and he runs on pure fear. The beast roars again, red eyes locked on him like a heat-seeking missile. It chases him in a savage sprint, swiping with a glowing arc of force that almost tags his back. Noah bolts away while the monster's footsteps boom, and he hates that his first move is coward mode. Panting hard, he gets mad at himself for running right after coming back to life. Grinding his teeth, he decides he is not dying again without trying. He stops and turns, declaring he will fight, even if his body looks like it skipped leg day for years. The moment he braces, his foot slips and smacks the ground because reality loves bullying him. Realizing he is cornered, Noah's eyes dart, searching for any way to survive. A clawed hand slices through the air toward him, sharp enough to shred armor like paper. Instinct kicks in and he throws up his arms trying to block. Blue symbols flare in his hand, and magic blooms out like his body remembers something his mind doesn't. The spell blasts forward in a spiraling wave and slams the monster, pushing it back with raw force. The recoil throws Noah onto the ground, because of course the first spell is also self-knockback. Staring at his own hand, he realizes he just did magic, and his brain short-circuits in awe. Before he can celebrate, blood sprays as the monster's counterattack reaches him first. From a distance, the beast finishes the slash and Noah collapses. His hand goes limp over the torn uniform and the scene screams that he is done. Then a glowing, haloed version of Noah floats nearby and jokes about setting a death record because even dying gets commentary. Noah drifts upward, acting like this is normal, but the boredom in his voice says he has done this too many times. Memories click into place and he remembers the afterlife line, the waiting, and what came after death. He recalls always believing there was something after death, and now he knows he was right. The cruel part is, the afterlife is basically standing in line forever, like the universe's worst customer service. The line stretches endlessly towards some unknown place, and he realizes he has been waiting for ages. A purple crack appears in the void, like reality just took damage. Noah notices the crack and thinks it is new, which is not comforting at all. Other souls stand around as the crack grows, while Noah admits all he can do is think and reflect. He flashes back to his old life teaching music, where fate still messed with him even when he loved his job. The same memory lingers, showing how his work and health problems got tangled into something unfair. A framed certificate reminds him he had a degree that felt useless in the end, despite the effort behind it. Even so, he remembers loving teaching music and the classroom moments he never wanted to forget. The story circles back to fate being annoying, like it is proud of ruining good things. He remembers dying in a hospital bed and how none of his struggles mattered when his time ran out. Years and then thousands pass in the afterlife line until he loses count completely. All he can do is step forward when the line moves, like a ghost stuck in slow motion. The line keeps climbing toward the light, and the endless monotony grinds everyone down. At long last, Noah climbs to the front, reaching the edge like he finally made it to the counter. He hauls himself up, seeing petals float in the bright air, like a welcome screen for the afterlife. A tall, feminine silhouette appears ahead, and he realizes someone powerful has been waiting. Noah squints into the light, feeling fate staring straight at him. The goddess floats gracefully with petals around her, and Noah kneels like he is meeting the final boss of reincarnation. The bright sky and drifting petals make it look peaceful, which is a lie when you know what is coming. A huge heavenly structure looms above a pool, and the goddess stands like she runs the whole system. She calls him Noah Vines and states his age at death, making it official like a cosmic report card. Close up, her face is unreal and calm, and she explains he influenced many students and received many prayers. Noah smiles in relief, thinking his life at least meant something to somebody. The goddess corrects him with a knowing look, saying his life was well lived, no excuses needed. Still nervous, Noah asks if she is actually God, because this is way above his pay grade. She introduces herself as Renewal, a goddess of reincarnation, towering over him like a giant statue that talks. Renewal gestures to the well and explains souls drink to lose their memories and move on to the next life. The same command hangs in the air, showing other souls already drinking and fading like they accept the reset. Noah panics and asks if he will forget everything, because that is the one thing he cannot stand. Clenching his fist, he asks if he will even forget his students, the people who gave his life meaning. Renewal suddenly turns her head, sensing something wrong, and even a goddess looks surprised for once. Another crack spreads across the sky, bigger and uglier, like the afterlife ceiling is breaking. The crack explodes outward in a violent purple blast, and the calm afterlife instantly becomes a disaster zone. Purple energy erupts behind Renewal, and Noah stares in shock as the whole place trembles. The same eruption continues, forcing everyone to realize this is not a normal day in paradise. The blast throws Noah back as debris flies, and the afterlife starts looking like it can actually be destroyed. Noah scrambles on broken stone, asking how something like this can even happen here. His eyes shake with fear as he wonders who could do this to the afterlife itself. A spear tip appears through the purple storm, cutting the air like a warning. A massive dark-skinned warrior steps out of the crack, glowing eyes and spear in hand, like a villain who skipped all subtlety. From above, a voice addresses Renewal with creepy affection, making the whole thing feel personal. The warrior's face fills the frame as he says he missed her, and it is the kind of miss you do not want. He charges straight at Renewal, and she snaps back with confidence, mocking him like he is a repeat loser. The same rush continues, showing he is fast and focused, while Renewal stays cool under pressure. Renewal throws up a huge pink barrier, petals swirling as her power blooms like a shield wall. The warrior's spear slams into the barrier with dark energy, and the two powers grind against each other. Cracks spread through the clash point, showing even divine defenses can break under enough force. In a wide shot, Renewal pushes forward with brute will, while the warrior leans in like he wants to split her in half. The spear finally bites through and Renewal grimaces, taking a hit as her barrier shatters with a painful snap. She floats back, arms crossed to guard herself, golden sparks and petals drifting as she regains control. Down below, the waters of life ripple with golden light, like the exit door is still open if Noah can reach it. Noah asks what happens if someone dies in the afterlife, because he really does not want to test that theory. Seeing the world collapse around him, he decides to run for the water and get out now. Behind Renewal, the warrior taunts her, acting like her power is nothing more than warm-up. Renewal glares and tells him to try harder, because she is not even serious yet. The warrior tilts his head as her pink petals slam into him, and he takes it like it is a breeze. Close up, his eye and cracked skin show he is enjoying this, like a psycho who thinks pain is flirting. Dark power surges from him and blasts the ground near Renewal, forcing her to brace against the shockwave. In a spinning clash, Renewal swings her barrier edge like a blade, while the warrior counters with a sweeping spear strike. He roars as her attack lands, but he still looks ready to keep going, which is insanely unfair. Noah runs toward the pool, deciding the only way out is drinking the water, even if it erases him. Ignoring the fight of the divorced couple in the background, he rushes as quick as he can. Behind him, the warrior rises from the water with a terrifying grin, and Noah realizes he is being hunted again. Renewal snaps in anger, admitting she is sick of waiting too, like even gods hate being stuck in loops. Noah sprints past her, thinking about all the waiting in his life and refusing to stand still anymore. The warrior's dark tendrils lash out, filling the air like living shadows trying to cage everything. Noah pushes forward, furious at the thought of being forced back into that endless line again. With both Renewal and the warrior looming behind him, Noah's face hardens as he declares he is done waiting for anything. A bright blast detonates between the gods, and Noah is caught in the chaos as the fight tears the space apart. Purple energy slams into Noah mid-run and flings him sideways like a rag doll. He crashes into the water with a huge splash, basically getting shoved into the life reset button. A massive wave surges and carries him away, drowning him in the waters of life. Spinning underwater, Noah thrashes as golden and dark currents twist around him like a whirlpool prison. Dark energy is creeping into his mouth as he chokes, losing control again. His spirit shoots upward on a pale trail, realizing this is it, and he got forced into the reset anyway. Still floating, He wonders if he has to wait in that damned line again, because the universe loves repeating jokes. He looks for the line, asking if it is even still there after all that chaos. As he falls, he thinks eternal death sounds better than standing around forever doing nothing. But then, a dark ribbon wraps around his neck and yanks him hard, like Subaru's unseen hand is dragging him to a new place. The same chokehold tightens as he flails, and the pull becomes a full-on launch into the void. Noah whips through the air on the tether, spiraling past other shocked souls like a human yo-yo. The tether stretches down toward a dead forest, and a naked, newly reborn body appears below like a forced landing spot. Noah gasps awake in the flesh again, sweating and wheezing like he just got hit by life itself. Sitting up naked in the creepy forest, he realizes he is alive again, surrounded by dead orange monsters and a small fire. Noah stares at the fire and the bodies, still trying to understand how he keeps coming back. Think he might have to call Truck-kun for that one. So if you know Truck-kun's number, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the video so far. Vermil wakes up in a nightmare scene, realizing he got killed mid-fight like it's just another Tuesday. Instead of peace, he remembers the loop happening again and again as he keeps getting torn up in that cursed forest. One of those orange murder monkeys rushes him, and Vermil braces like he already knows the script. After so many deaths, everything blurs together, like his life got put on repeat with no skip button. The resets keep coming, and every death feels the same, just with new bruises and fresh regret. Each time he returns, he's back by the same gourd, like the world's most depressing checkpoint. Getting stabbed and bleeding out never stops hurting, and he's sick of being the universe's punching bag. Still, pain beats waiting forever in some endless dark line, so he forces himself to keep moving. With enough tries, he finally manages to grab Vermil's stuff off the ground between bodies. The only thing that doesn't come back is his magic. Even so, he feels something inside his head shifting, and he starts learning from every ugly death. Vermil studies the monsters and realizes they repeat the same few attacks like they're bad at improv. With a cracked neck and stubborn pride, he decides to run it back and use what he learned. This time, he watches the monkey's body tense before it lunges, reading it like a cheap tell. Its glowing red eyes give away the next move, and Vermil locks in on that tiny clue. The monkey telegraphs its claw swings, and Vermil times the approach instead of panicking. Even without being stronger or faster, he dodges cleanly, proving brains can bully brawn sometimes. Not wanting to waste another life, he stays calm and remembers just how long he suffered for this moment. With all his patience burned away, he dives straight in to finish the fight his way. His eyes sharpen with that scary calm, the kind that says he's done playing nice. The monkey crouches to attack again, but Vermil watches it like he's already seen the ending. It screeches and lashes out, acting tough like it isn't about to get humbled. Vermil moves in a different rhythm now, slipping under the swipe as if they're not even fighting the same match. Caught off guard, the monkey's wild swings miss as Vermil slides into the perfect angle. With a smug look, Vermil makes it clear he can die 100 times and still come back meaner. He loads up a punch with all the rage of someone who's been spawn-killed for ages. The monkey's eyes widen, finally realizing it picked the wrong human to mess with. Vermil slams the beast down hard, basically saying he only needs one clean win to break this loop. Right as things settle, two hooded riders glide in on flying sword boards. Hearing a desperate call for help, the riders look down into the foggy woods, confused and cautious. Vermil quickly switches to helpless mode, begging like he's just a lost guy and not a looping survivor. Seeing the board up close, he's shocked people here literally ride swords like it's normal transportation. The riders approach and ask what happened, while Vermil panics inside about lying his way through this. He claims he got injured and lost his memories, saying the only name he knows is Vermil. The two riders exchange a suspicious glance, clearly not buying this story at full price. As they start to leave, Vermil raises a hand fast, not wanting to be abandoned again. To prove his identity, he shows a tag that marks him as Magus Vermil, hoping that's enough. Frederick, the blonde rider, looks shocked and asks if he really teaches at Arbitage, while Vermil can only act confused. They talk about what kind of monster could do this. throwing around scary names like it's casual gossip. The other writer suggests it was probably one of the Chuckers, since Vermal is alive and not burnt to ash. Frederick decides it's bad news if monsters can beat teachers now, and he checks Vermal's condition. With a sigh, Frederick offers him a ride to Arbitage. He introduces himself as Frederick, looking way too proud of doing the bare minimum good deed. Vermal nervously steps onto the board, asking if this thing is safe like he's about to ride a wild horse. Frederick tells him to hold tight and not be shy, basically treating him like fragile cargo. In a burst of speed, they launch upward and Vermal clings on for dear life. The two of them cut across the sky as tiny silhouettes, leaving the dead forest behind. The world opens into bright clouds and sunlight, a hard reset from all that fog and blood. While flying, Vermal thinks people at the academy will know who Vermal is, which means answers might be close. At the same time, he worries the one who tried to kill Vermal could even be someone nearby. Clinging behind Frederick, he reminds himself he's still in danger and has no clue who his enemies are now. His eyes widen as that fear hits hard, because surviving the forest might have been the easy part. They arrive above Arbitage City, a huge place built around a famous runic academy. Touching down, people greet him like a returning professor, and Vermal tries not to look guilty. Seeing the academy, he decides this is the perfect place to hide, learn magic, and blend in with the nerds. Frederick reassures him the academy can help, while Vermal worries about getting exposed and turned into a lab rat. Inside, Richard hears Vermal is back and heads over with the kind of energy that screams trouble. Richard greets him with a smug smile, acting like Vermal being missing was just him being dramatic again. Vermal sticks to the amnesia excuse, insisting he hit his head and can't remember much. Richard presses him, asking if he truly doesn't remember who he is, while Vermeil awkwardly plays dumb. Annoyed, Richard takes that as a no and calls out Vermal for not even pretending to care about his own state. Richard introduces himself as a healer who specializes in runes, basically the Academy's resident medical snob. He places a glowing hand on Vermal's chest, scanning him like a living book he doesn't trust. With a sharp look, Richard says he'll take a closer look inside, making Vermal sweat instantly. Vermal panics, but Richard concludes he's human, even if his mind feels strange. Frederick reacts with relief, while Vermal quietly thanks the universe for not selling him out yet. Richard admits Vermal's mind is jumbled, calling it odd in that judgy teacher voice. Vermal claims rest will fix it, then asks the real question. Can anyone tell the old Vermal is dead and gone? Richard says time will decide, but his tone makes it clear he doesn't care about Vermal's feelings at all. Richard thanks Frederick for delivering Vermal, and Frederick waves it off like he's Budget Himmel in a side quest. Richard says he'll inform the headmaster, then realizes Vermal doesn't know his own room and tells him to follow. They stop at a door labeled for Magus Vermal. When Richard asks for the key, Vermal can only shrug, because amnesia is doing overtime. Richard overrides the lock with glowing runes, like he's annoyed he even has to do this. The door swings open to a trashed office full of papers, books, and cobwebs like Vermal lived in chaos on purpose. Richard tells him to stay put until someone checks on him, while Vermal notes the original Vermal was definitely not a clean freak. Before leaving, Richard gives one last sharp glance, the kind that says he's still not convinced. Alone in the mess, Vermal can't shake the feeling Richard knows more than he's saying. He stands there again, staring at the disaster like it might explain who the real Vermal was. Spotting a key on the desk, Vermal wonders why Vermal left it behind like a clue in a mystery show. He sits down, trying to sort through the clutter and figure out what kind of life he just inherited. Reading the papers, he accepts he's a teacher again, then notices there's a note meant for a student. His face tightens as he realizes the note looks suspicious. He reads it and immediately roasts the old Vermal in his head, realizing the guy was a total creep who invites his students for freaky stuff. A class schedule confirms it, and Vermal realizes he's supposed to teach mage students like he knows what he's doing. Overwhelmed, he flings papers around and panics about teaching magic he doesn't even understand. He facepalms at the desk, admitting this whole situation is a mess he didn't ask for. A knock hits the door, pulling him out of his spiral. Vermal peeks up, confused and already exhausted by the academy's social life. Braden barges in, demanding to know what happened, and Vermal sticks to the memory loss story again. Braden keeps talking like they're close, while Vermal tries to act normal and not suspicious. Braden calls him an idiot, worries about proper treatment, and mentions the Linwicks like that name actually matters. He warns Vermal has class soon and offers to get another professor or a full checkup if things are bad. Vermal refuses the extra help, not wanting anyone poking around his head and finding the truth. Putting on a fake smile, he insists he can handle it, then sheepishly asks where his class is. Braden tells him the room and warns him not to be late, since the Linwick's reputation is tied to his performance. With a serious look, Braden asks if Vermal still remembers what that responsibility means. As Braden leaves, the door slams and papers flutter like the room itself is stressed out. Vermal slumps back in the chair, acting chill but clearly terrified about teaching in an hour. Among the papers, a notice about face stealers stands out, basically screaming that the world is full of imposters like him. His mind flashes back to the forest, the bodies, and the dead monkey, reminding him this story started in blood. Another memory hits. Vermal pinned against a tree, broken and helpless like the moment his life split in two. All that's left is a streak of blood and silence, the kind that marks a real death, not just a scare. The final image locks in on Vermal's lifeless body, making it clear the original owner of this name paid the price first. We're out at Arbitage Building G, a creepy old campus spot that looks like it lost a fight with time and never healed. Inside, the halls shake with heavy thumps, like the building itself is complaining about being used again. Vermal comes sprinting in with his briefcase, stressing out because he's late and the place is basically a dungeon maze. Even while running, he's praying his students don't ditch, since he's already cutting it way too close. Bursting into the classroom, Vermal realizes it's been empty for ages, and he's wondering why his class got shoved all the way out here. The room feels abandoned and wrong, and the silence is so loud it makes his panic louder too. Trying to save face, he starts scanning the dusty shelves, hoping there's something useful in this wreck. Hearing footsteps, he freezes and clocks that someone is actually coming toward the classroom. A white-haired student, Isabel, strolls in calmly while floating a glowing magic orb like it's no big deal. Isabel sizes him up with that look that says, "Explain yourself right now." Caught off guard, Vermal awkwardly claims he's here to teach, smiling like a guy bluffing on a test. Another student, Todd, shows up and asks Isabel who she's talking to, already sounding annoyed. Seeing Vermal standing there, Todd is shocked because this teacher basically never shows his face. Vermal realizes his so-called students are basically his age, and his brain short-circuits a little. While Vermal stands in the back like the substitute nobody asked for, Isabel and Todd mock him for being ridiculously late. Not wanting to look weak, Vermal decides to play it cool and try to win them over somehow. He flashes a forced thumbs up and tries to hype up the class, like confidence alone will fix everything. Isabel instantly calls out his act, not buying even 1 second of his fake teacher energy. Vermal shrinks into a chibi mess and insists he's just here to teach, sounding even less believable. Todd and Isabel admit he's acting weird today, which is an anime way of saying he's sus. Vermal claims he hit his head and has minor memory loss, using the classic "I forgot" excuse like a pro. Even while smiling, he pushes them to sit down and quietly decides they're going to answer his questions. Todd tells him there is no rest of the class, meaning Vermal's stuck teaching just these 2 unlucky souls. With his empty briefcase thudding on the desk, Vermal says 2 students is better than none and tells them to take a seat. Todd roasts him for trying to teach when they're the same rank, and even drags Vermal's Linwick name like it's a cheat code. That Linwick name hits Vermal hard, and he starts guessing Vermal's family must be powerful. Isabel tries to negotiate a free pass on the exam, basically asking for the laziest deal imaginable. Vermal refuses and hints he might have experience they don't, which is bold talk for a guy sweating this much. Isabel shuts him down with a bored no, like she's already tired of this whole plot. Vermal doubles down and says he's teaching them anyway, because he has their time, and he's not giving it back. Todd and Isabel needle him about his past scandal with a student, trying to make him tilt before class even starts. Vermal snaps and demands respect, finally acting like a teacher instead of a lost tourist. In his head, he admits the old Vermal was a creep and yeah, the roast is deserved. He turns to the board and starts the lesson on runes, slapping the chalk down like it's game time. The whole board crashes behind him, and he just stands there like the universe is bullying him personally. Trying to recover, he clears his throat and asks what runes are, pretending the board didn't just rage quit. Todd and Isabel act offended by the basic question, like he's talking to kindergartners. Todd gives the simple answer that runes hold energy and let you cast magic, acting like that's the end of it. Vermal writes it down anyway, and Todd whispers that the teacher has totally lost it. With a stern finger point, Vermal says their definition is useless because he asked what a rune is, not what it does. He repeats the question, dead serious now, forcing them to stop coasting on shallow answers. Both students flinch like they just got hit by mental damage, realizing he's setting a trap. Isabel asks what he means, her confidence dropping for the first time. Inside, Vermal celebrates because they took the bait, and he's finally steering the class. The chalk scratches across the board as he keeps writing, using the noise like a countdown. Vermeil explains that knowing what a rune does isn't enough, because you can't truly use a tool without understanding how it works. He smirks to himself, thinking they don't even know what a rune really is at the basic level. That smug look says it all, like he's about to turn their easy worldview upside down. Even Isabel admits she doesn't really know, then shrugs like it doesn't matter, which is peak student behavior. Vermal praises her for the question and expands it to magic itself, asking what magic can do. Isabel rolls her eyes and says, magic can do anything, like she's answering a trivia question. Vermal freaks out at the idea of no limits because that answer is basically chaos in a sentence. Todd adds limits, saying you can only use one rune at a time and you can't bring people back to life. Vermal happily points out that means magic has limits, calling it the start of real understanding. In his head, he darkly notes magic can bring back the dead, which is a red flag the size of a dragon. Back in class, he says nobody knows what runes really are, and Todd basically begs him to say he doesn't either. Vermal calmly says runes are still being researched, while hiding his nerves behind teacher voice. He flips open a rune book and says anyone claiming perfect knowledge is either lying or delusional. A detailed rune symbol fills the page, looking like the kind of thing you don't want tattooed by accident. Vermal starts copying the rune onto the board from the book, and Todd and Isabel freak out at how casually he does it. The students keep staring like he just pulled a forbidden technique in homeroom. Vermal turns and confirms it's a rune, trying to act normal while the room's tension spikes. Todd and Isabel yell in shock because he literally just drew it, like the guy didn't hear the word dangerous. Vermal explains it was in his book, then immediately realizes he messed up by showing too much. Todd can't believe the teacher is letting them see it for free, while Isabel sighs like this is what happens when adults panic. Vermal taps the board and asks what the rune is, choosing his next questions carefully like he's defusing a bomb. Todd identifies it as a rank 1 lesser fire rune, and Vermal's brain latches onto the word lesser. Vermal asks what makes it lesser, still writing and trying not to look too hungry for info. The word lesser gets scrawled huge on the board, because subtlety is dead. Todd blurts out that everything makes it lesser, giving the most unhelpful big mouth answer possible. With a snap, Todd sparks a tiny flame, eager to show off like a shonen side character. Todd explains lesser runes hold less magic and have worse control than greater ones, while Isabel watches him like he's a show-off. A visual pops up showing greater runes are straight up stronger, basically the same idea but turned up to 11. Todd flexes his fire into a bigger swirl and claims lesser runes aren't weak. Then the flames whip outward and blast through the ruined roof. That fire trail keeps streaking out, and you just know the school's insurance guy is about to faint. Outside, the building spits out the fire like a flare, marking the sky with a very loud oops. Vermal praises Todd's display, but inside he's freaking out, because that was way too much for a classroom demo. Keeping his cool, he says their definition expanded, then asks again what a rune actually is. From above, the wrecked classroom looks tiny, and Vermal pushes them to toss out ideas and keep searching for the answer. Todd mentions combining runes and imbuing items, while Vermal points out he doesn't sound certain and warns him to get used to being questioned. Vermal sets the chalk down and tells them to think about what makes up a rune for next class, then moves on. Leaning in with that teacher glare, Vermal asks Isabel how she accesses her runes, making it sound like the real test. Isabel nervously says you imagine sinking into your soul, but even she sounds like she's guessing. She wonders if there's more to it, realizing her basics might be shaky too. Vermal tells her they'll find out, and orders both of them to check their runes again and report what happens when they finish. Isabel and Todd sit still and agree, looking like students who just got assigned surprise homework. Vermal steels himself and decides it's time to feel magic, even though he's clearly winging it. Sitting back in the chair, he focuses inward and tries to treat it like meditation, even though he's never meditated in his life. In the darkness of his mind, glowing patterns shimmer into view, and Vermal realizes he's actually seeing something. Suddenly, multiple runes swirl around him in bright blue and pale white, like a storm of symbols waking up. He recognizes the shapes from the book, confirming this isn't imagination, it's the real deal. Counting them, he notices 5 wind runes and 2 ash ones, then wonders how combining them even works. The swirl keeps building as he panics about what he doesn't know, because too much power and zero instruction is a bad combo. A violent ringing hits him, and he clutches his head as dark purple energy starts pressing in. The pain spikes again, like someone is knocking on his mind from the other side. A massive purple magic circle forms and a crushing presence appears, making Vermal suspect he's touching something like an 8th rune. The purple circle looms bigger, and the question hangs there as his fear turns into recognition. In the haze, a terrifying bald figure with glowing eyes shows up, and Vermal thinks this presence reminds him of him. The vision sharpens and that monster-like face stares down like it owns the place. Vermal's eye widens in panic because whatever this is, it's not just a lesson anymore. The giant being grins as purple lightning crackles, looming over a tiny figure below, like the final boss just noticed the main character. A few hours after class, Vermal's nameplate is on the wall, and you already know this guy is about to do something reckless in his office. Trying to lock in, Vermal focuses on his rune image until the air starts swirling around him and the magic finally answers back. Seeing the wind wrap the whole room, he gets way too happy and brags that his runes are working again, like he didn't almost explode last time. Right after that, his legs wobble and he drops hard, remembering the annoying truth that even magic has limits and he still has a lot to learn. Later in town, he speedwalks like a guilty student avoiding teachers, hoping nobody stops him while everyone keeps staring anyway. With whispers following him, Vermal realizes the real danger is not small talk, it's someone deciding to punch his face for his past mess. Thinking about getting finished off for good, he heads for the library, the kind of place where you either study or start drama quietly. As the door creaks open, Vermal steps in and freezes, shocked by how fancy and bright the place is. Staring at the grand hall and the professor's only section, he spots exactly what he needs and immediately wonders if fancy people get free coffee too. He greets the librarian and asks for a basic rune book, but Moxie shows up behind him giving that deadly glare like she caught him doing cringe homework. Moxie calls him out for aiming for intro stuff and then roasts his fallen family situation while clutching a book about face stealers like it's bedtime reading. Caught off guard, Vermal turns sweaty, and Moxie demands to know why he can't get simple books using his family's resources. With a smug face, he says using his family for something so normal is a waste, and Moxie basically labels him stupid with zero mercy. Before he can recover, she slams a fat stack down and says it's pathetic he's a low-rank professor, then starts gathering magic like she's about to speedrun bullying. In one savage move, Moxie blasts him across the room, and Vermal admits his past self was trash, which honestly explains the hate male energy. Moxie makes a metal clank sound as she steadies herself, then says she's done with his old creepy hobby and wants better pastimes. Vermal tries to play classy from the floor, and Moxie just scoffs like his manners are cosplay. As she walks off insulting him like it's cardio, Vermal notes she hates him and also seems obsessed with something called face stealers. Moxie's name sticks in his head, and with the dim memory of Vermal's reputation, he figures she's not wrong to be mad at him. In his head, he even wonders if she's the one who tried to kill him before. then awkwardly tries to move the topic along like a kid caught lying. Still rubbing his face, Vermal turns back to the librarian and tries to get back to business about those books. Back at the office with his name on the door, he sits surrounded by papers and books, determined to finally understand how his runes really work. Noticing that huge, weird rune feels totally abnormal, he decides it would be stupid to draw attention to it and keeps his eyes on the smaller stuff. Flipping through diagrams, he guesses Vermal came from a semi-strong family, then leans in to take another look like he's about to crack the code. He lays out his wind and ash runes and senses something off, because even among wind runes, one feels kind of empty and wrong. Comparing them in his mind, he decides each rune is like its own little power container, and the more energy it holds, the stronger it gets. Remembering the forest kill, he connects the feeling to gaining power, then realizes ash runes hold more power even when low, while lesser runes are smaller containers forever. He sets a new goal to replace weak runes, refill them, and combine them, then notices one wind rune has already refilled like it's quietly recharging in his body. Deciding to test something new, he throws out wind magic with his arm raised, trying to control it instead of just flexing for no reason. The wind blade slices straight through the stacked paper like a clean cut, and Vermal's face turns into that proud grin of a guy who finally did one thing right. Watching the stack split, he celebrates hard, then checks his fingers as the last bit of wind fizzles out, like the spell is already fading. He admits wind magic makes sense now and daydreams about flying, but the ash runes still won't respond, so he calls it whatever and moves on. Choosing to focus on what works, he gets the bright idea to clean the paper mess with wind magic, then immediately makes a bigger mess because of course he does. Calling it good enough, he notes he can feel a wind rune draining as he uses it, then decides the next step of his so-called master plan is just sleep. After a huge yawn, he takes a warm bath and relaxes like nothing in the world can go wrong, which is always the cue for something to go wrong. He checks the closet while half-dressed and sees a wall of the same uniforms, realizing the old Vermal was at least consistent in being boring. While brushing his teeth, a loud banging hits the door, and he pauses mid-brush, confused about who is knocking this aggressively. Hoping silence will make it stop, he gets another set of bangs and starts sweating, realizing they're not leaving. He suddenly worries the door might be unlocked, and then it slams open with a shadowy figure stepping in like a horror scene. Terrified, Vermal hides like a doomed extra, but the intruder immediately slips on his scattered papers and crashes hard. The fall keeps echoing in his head, and he peeks out with a toothbrush still in his mouth, trying to process what he just witnessed. Crawling closer, he realizes she really did slip on his papers, then checks her and finds no pulse, which is the worst kind of surprise. Panic hits him as he freaks out over a female body in his room. Then he hears heavy footsteps coming closer, like reinforcements are arriving. With no time to think, Moxie bursts in with her weapon drawn, sees the scene, and Vermal tries to explain while looking guilty as humanly possible. Moxie barges in with her blade ready, and Vermal is on the floor looking guilty as a kid caught sneaking snacks. With that dead girl sprawled out between them, she makes it clear she is not buying his innocent act. Panicking, Vermal tries to explain himself, but Moxie coolly points out the monster is already dead. Seeing her put the weapon away like it is nothing just makes him sweat harder. Vermeil bows and begs, insisting the victim fell on her own, then freezes when Moxie hints he killed the right thing. Confused, he asks what she even means. Kneeling beside the body, Moxie roasts him for trying to be funny while checking the corpse like a pro. Vermal stares, totally lost, wondering what the heck is going on. Instead of yelling, Moxie sounds almost impressed that Vermal managed to kill it at all, and asks if he has been training. Watching her act normal in a crime scene makes him feel like the only sane person in the room. Vermal demands an explanation and asks who the body even is, while Moxie calmly opens a bottle like she is settling in for story time. Even the way she pops the cork says she thinks he is an idiot. With a dead serious look, Moxie finally names the creature, a face stealer. Vermal's eyes widen because that is the kind of word you only hear right before you die. Vermal repeats the name like it is a new curse word, and Moxie blows up, asking how he missed the warning notice. The dude basically admits he ignored the paperwork because of course he did. Realization hits Vermal as he remembers the pile of notices he skipped. Moxie pours herself a drink and grills him on how he killed a face stealer without even knowing what it was. Calling him a lucky idiot, Moxie drinks while Vermal tries to understand what a face stealer does. She explains it steals dead bodies, and he asks if the original person had any chance to live. Learning they only take over corpses makes Vermal think about all the bodies he might leave behind, and he quietly freaks out. Moxie, still sipping, wonders why one even came here since they usually chase magic. Moxie asks Vermal to keep this whole mess secret, since it would be embarrassing if people knew she let it slip past her. Vermal smirks and says he will not do it for free, and you know what he means. Moxie's eyes narrow at his little hustle, then she admits he straight up disgusts her. That single word lands harder than any sword swing. Backpedaling fast, Vermal insists he just wants answers because his head injury messed up his memory. He begs properly, realizing his earlier lines sounded extra creepy given his reputation. Moxie finally agrees, giving him a strict time limit to ask his questions. Vermal exhales and tries to focus. First, Vermal asks why monsters are even inside the school, because he thought this place was safe. Moxie explains it is only safer, not safe, which is the most depressing school slogan ever. Outside, a creepy bird-like monster flies past as Moxie explains face stealers are new but not the worst threat around. She adds that monsters and humans both want each other's runes, like two thieves fighting over the same wallet. Vermal connects it to the energy people get from killing monsters, and Moxie confirms rune power goes both ways. She also warns that taking runes directly is only possible with master runes. To prove a point, Moxie tosses seeds with a casual flick, like she is throwing shade in physical form. The seeds drop to the floor, and Vermal realizes she is about to clean up in the most extra way possible. Vines explode from the seeds and wrap up the corpse as Moxie scolds Vermal for not knowing basic stuff. He nervously admits his memories are fuzzy while the plant magic does the heavy lifting. Vermal jolts when he realizes what she's doing. Moxie's vines shrink and finish the job, basically absorbing the face stealer with her magic. Watching the last leaves whip past him, Vermal thinks her power is insane and wonders what else she can do. Moxie jokes that if she did not know better, she would think he was a face stealer too, then adds even face stealers are smarter than him. Vermal shifts to his next question, worried about master runes and the huge rune he feels inside himself. Nearby, Moxie steps forward, the tapping of her boot making it clear she is done playing around. At the bookshelf, Moxie explains the closest master rune monster is the Hell Reaver, and even that would turn Vermal into paste. A quick image of the flaming beast makes the warning feel very real. Trying to change topics, Vermal asks why none of their books talk about making new runes. Moxie says if the Vermals figured that out, she would love to hear it, meaning he is chasing a myth. Moxie points out Vermal should already have research in his grimoire, then immediately calls that research worthless. Vermal perks up at the word grimoire and gets way too curious about what she thinks he has. Vermal asks if you cannot learn a rune just by studying a drawing, and Moxie explains runes need power to store power. He finally gets it with a simple example, comparing it to jump-starting a car. Moxie lays it out. Making a rune in your soul takes both the rune's energy and a proper drawing, and that is why the info is guarded. Taking it in, Vermal says he only has one last question. Vermal asks who would not like him, and Moxie replies it would be easier to list people who do like him, which is a brutal speedrun roast. Accepting that, he promises he is done asking and will keep the face stealer incident secret. Moxie accepts, saying the debt is paid, and they seal it with a handshake. She even jokes she thought he would ask about class exams, like this whole day was just a weird tutoring session. Vermal laughs it off like exams are nothing, then says he will be fine and walks away, already making a mental list of new things to research. Moxie lets him go, probably because watching him struggle is entertainment. Before he leaves, Moxie warns him again not to mention the face stealer and hints that he really does not want to see her angry. Vermil gulps as the door slams, suddenly remembering fear is a survival skill. Later, Vermil arrives at a giant transport cannon tower, realizing magical public transit is literally a cannon, not a carriage. He decides waiting will not make him stronger, so he heads up through the floors. The climb and wait feel endless, and Vermil looks wiped out by the time he reaches the upper levels. Another guy behind him is sweating too, like the whole place is a stamina test nobody asked for. Vermil stares ahead with wide eyes, clearly questioning his life choices. Reaching the cannon platform, he sees the massive machine and hears the operator greet him like this is a normal commute. The cannon station is still intimidating up close, and Vermil's nerves do not improve. He thinks this looks like the least safe way to travel anywhere, and honestly, he is not wrong. Vermil asks to be sent to the Scorched Acres, aiming for trouble like a genius. The older operator repeats the destination and asks why Vermil keeps going out there, and Vermil dodges the real answer. The operator, smiling like a proud grandpa with explosives, says this cannon brings people back within a day, no matter what. Vermil admits ignoring that warning gave him a nasty concussion. Thinking of Vermil's death, Vermil wonders what his friend was doing out there, and the thought darkens his face. Still, he pushes forward and asks if this is safe, even as the cannon starts humming with power. The operator claims it is totally safe because he has never had a problem, which is exactly what a disaster says before it happens. With a shove, he forces Vermil into the launch tube because there is a line and zero patience. The hatch slams shut, and Vermil looks out the little window like a trapped cat asking what comes next. Outside, the operator laughs and tells him to squeeze, enjoying this way too much. The cannon rumbles with blue energy, and Vermil freaks out, begging to be let out while the operator acts like this is the fun part. Vermil tries to cope by reminding himself he will come back if it kills him, then realizes he maybe should have brought his gourd. With a massive boom, Vermil gets fired out of the transport cannon, rocketing away like an unwilling human projectile. The operator happily sends him off, and Vermil's adventure officially goes from dumb to worse. At Linwick Estates, the night feels way too quiet, like the kind of place where villains drink tea and plot your downfall. Outside, even the fancy statues just keep splashing water like nothing bad ever happens here. Inside a cold study, Braden reports to his father, acting like this is just another normal family check-in. With that huge sword on his back, he looks ready for a quest, but he's really here to deliver results. Hearing the update, the father presses for details and focuses on one name: Vermil. Even with a tiny change in Vermil's behavior, the old man calls it displeasing, because of course he does. Seeing Braden try to explain, the father basically says he doesn't buy it, but doesn't care either. With a nasty calm, he decides Vermil will still be useful, like a tool you keep even if it's squeaking. As the father talks about Vermil's purpose that he can achieve both in life and death, the story hard cuts to Vermil screaming mid-fall through a glowing blue chute. The dude is flying like a dropped phone, except he's the phone. Vermil rockets down into the Scorched Acres, a dead forest that looks like it lost a fight with fire years ago. Spinning in the air, he panics because his body is not cooperating at all. Caught off guard, he realizes he suddenly stops moving mid-air. Then gravity remembers its job and slams him into the ground. After wiping his face and talking big about being safe, Vermil spots monsters lurking and tries to hype himself up. Deep down, he's still that guy who talks trash right before getting jumped. With the forest looking empty enough, Vermil decides this is a good place to train and experiment. Not wanting to die again, he plans to head deeper before doing anything risky. Trying to climb a tree, he hops up and clings to a branch like a scared cat with homework due. It's awkward, but he manages to hang on and pull himself into position. Sitting there, he insults his own athletic skills and hopes nobody saw that sad little performance. Then he pulls out Vermil's runebook, ready to see what powers are worth stealing. Flipping through, he decides if he's going to fill runes, they better be the right ones, since there are tons to choose from. Looking at the thick collection, he realizes Vermil hoarded nearly 100 options like a greedy collector. He considers a flame rune, then instantly calls it too basic, like rejecting a starter move in episode 1. Next, he eyes a plant rune and refuses that too, still salty about a past monster fight. A shadow rune shows up, and he calls it too edgy because he's not trying to be a cringe dark mage. Scanning the common elements, he keeps rejecting them, wanting something that fits his real-world knowledge. Stressing out, he admits he doesn't know insane science stuff like explosives or chemical mixes, and he was just a music teacher back on Earth. Then his brain clicks, and he smiles like he finally found his weird niche. He digs through the pages again, searching hard for the thing he remembers. Finally, he lands on a greater vibration rune and locks in like he just found the perfect answer key. With the idea forming, he realizes Vermal dismissed the vibration rune too early because strong vibrations can mean tremors and collapse. Imagining it, he literally shakes the ground and grins, thinking he found his angle. Still riding that discovery high, he keeps thinking about how vibration could bring down structures in a whole new way. It's the kind of smug moment where you can tell he's about to do something reckless on purpose. Surrounded by glowing runes, he debates which wind rune to replace with the vibration one, since wind is what he understands right now. Even while saying his ash runes are strongest, he admits he can't control them yet, which is scary and very on brand. Choosing to start small, he replaces just one wind rune and carefully pokes at the magic like it's a delicate instrument. The energy threads move as he works, and the rune begins to shift under his hands. With a sharp motion, he swings the magic into place, trying to force the new pattern to stick. The glowing symbol cracks and shatters, basically telling him, "Nice try, amateur." Looking at the broken pieces, he admits the hard part is rebuilding it into something better instead of just copying. Back in the tree, he studies the book again, treating rune crafting like homework he can't procrastinate anymore. After a tense moment, the scattered light finally lines up and he pushes it into a stable shape. Then a bright purple rune forms in the air and he's shocked he actually pulled it off. Still staring at the finished rune like it might vanish, he comes back down to earth and lands with a heavy step. The success is real, but it doesn't mean his problems are gone. Testing the result, he realizes the new rune has almost no energy, so he still has to rely on wind for fighting. Even so, he decides it's time to hunt some monkeys and get a little revenge, because this guy runs on spite. In the foggy woods, a monkey monster casually munches on another creature like it's a snack break. Vermal strolls up and calls out, because stealth is not his strongest stat. The monkey snarls with blood on its mouth, ready to tear him up. Without waiting, Vermal throws out a strong wind blast, the kind that screams, "I learned this yesterday, but I'm confident anyway." The wind slices through the clearing and launches the monster hard, sending bodies tumbling like ragdolls. Watching it fly, Vermal smirks, feeling way too proud for someone who face-planted earlier. After the kill, he checks the rune energy and realizes it barely filled at all, which is super annoying. Still, he jokes to himself about hoping the monkeys aren't endangered, since he plans to wipe out a bunch. Perched high in a tree, he scans the dead forest for the next target like a bored predator. Spotting movement, he locks onto something below and points it out to himself. Down in the open, he sees a group, a bigger purple-faced monkey with smaller ones nearby. Realizing the leader looks like the kind that killed him before, he decides this is the real test. With no time to hesitate, he steadies himself and prepares to fight while watching their behavior closely. The way they huddle and signal feels like communication, and that thought creeps him out more than the claws. Hiding behind a tree, he tries to take a moment to process how smart they might be. Then, a rough memory hits, showing him being grabbed and pinned, reminding him exactly how ugly dying felt. Snapping back, he decides he's done being patient since they killed him first. A sudden rush of movement cuts through the air, and something fast charges in. The big monkey explodes forward, and Vermal's wind attack smashes into the group, scattering them in chaos. Even while tossing a cruel remark, he realizes the leader is right in front of him and way too close. The fight turns messy as the monkeys keep moving, making his wind slashes harder to land clean. Forced to adjust, He throws more sweeping gusts, but it's clear this isn't a simple target dummy anymore. Even as he keeps cutting the air with wind, the monkeys slip and dart, refusing to stand still like polite enemies. The leader keeps pressing, and Vermal's face shows he's realizing how bad this can get. And the leader suddenly breaks through and strikes, sending Vermal tumbling and leaving him wide open. Before he can recover, the monster leaps in for a brutal stomp, copying the same killing move he recognized too late. Pinned by fear and timing, Vermal scrambles as the attack comes down like a finishing blow. Trying to calm his mind, he reads the monster's pattern and tells himself he can predict the next slash and win. Then reality hits as the attack moves faster than his reaction, proving confidence doesn't block claws. His soul leaving his body, Noah stays trapped in the nightmare grip, still flailing as he watches Vermal getting treated like dinner. 12 hours after yet another death, Vermal notes the rule. Every reset gives him a splitting headache, and as long as it lasts, his magic is useless. Still, he cracks his fingers and decides to run it back, because this guy treats dying like it's just bad homework. Reaching toward the little red creature, he tries to grab it before it can start its usual nonsense. The beast snaps into full demon mode and screams like it just saw a tax bill. With a fast leap, it bolts forward, kicking up dust and leaves to start the fight. Seeing its stance, Vermal predicts it will try to grab from the sides, so he braces for the pattern he's already memorized. Caught in the rush, he slips low as the monster swings, barely dodging the first sweeping strike. Reading the rhythm, Vermal calmly calls out the next move in his head. An overhead strike is coming. Right on cue, the creature brings the arm down, then winds into a nasty horizontal cut like it thinks it's a sword master. Instead of panicking, Vermal draws in breath and centers himself, keeping his hand ready for a counter. As the monster lunges, he times the moment, confident it will be dead before it can finish the combo. The counter lands clean, slicing across the creature's neck with brutal speed. The head spins off and hits the ground, while the body stumbles like it forgot it needed a head to function. Vermal exhales with that tired, dead-eyed look of a guy who's done this way too many times. The body crashes down hard, and Vermal mutters that it's weird how all these monsters fight the same, but he'll take the easy win. The severed head lies in a spreading pool of blood, finally quiet for once. Far away, a blue streak shoots across the sky over the city, signaling Vermal's rapid return. Back inside, an old man with long gray hair greets him, clearly expecting the usual chaos. Vermal staggers through the doorway looking wrecked, and the old man panics, asking if he's okay. Leaning against the wall, Vermal says he's fine, just surprised he got back so fast, and the old man points out he must be burning through healing potions. The old man even throws in a smug wink, while Vermal answers with the flattest, most done-with-life stare. When the old man says he's glad Vermal survived, Vermal gives a short thanks, and the old guy acts like he saved the world personally. Dragging himself along, Vermal thinks next time he needs spare clothes, because resets don't come with laundry service. In the classroom, the board celebrates the second day, while Todd and Isabel lurk outside betting on whether Vermal will show up again. The two are surprised Vermal actually showed up. Todd tells Isabel to toss the payment over, because he wins the bet. Vermal groans, realizing he missed something by going out to fight in the Badlands. Todd explains class is every other day and he missed the real one, and he admits they just used the room to hang out and waited for him anyway. Not wanting to waste the moment, Vermal says they might as well do a makeup class, while Todd yawns like learning is boring. Trying way too hard, Vermal flashes finger guns and claims learning together is the best way to bond, like he's running a club meeting. Todd and Isabel go dead silent, both looking like they regret walking in. Clearing his throat, Vermal forces the mood back into teacher mode. He asks about the homework, and Todd admits he gave up and stress ate, while Isabel says she thought about it but still wants the answer handed over. With a big shrug, Vermal admits he doesn't know either, which is the boldest teaching style imaginable. Todd pauses in disbelief, while Isabel casually pops a little magic spark like she's testing if the teacher is serious. Wiping the board, Vermal tells them the answer isn't easy, and they have to figure it out themselves. Isabel crosses her arms and asks why he even told them to think about it if he won't explain. Vermal answers that the whole point was to make them think, because thinking is never wasted time. Turning to the real lesson, he writes about ranks and starts explaining why good runes matter so much. Todd and Isabel nod along, and Todd explains that ranking up means combining 7 runes into one stronger rune, if you can pull it off. He keeps going, saying success lets you handle absorbing or combining more runes of that rank without breaking yourself. Vermal adds that's how basic elements like fire or wind can turn into special results like frozen mist. Isabel warns that failed combinations can shatter runes, wreck your soul, and leave you crippled for years, which is why real combos are guarded like secrets. Walking out with his book, Vermal agrees understanding matters, then thinks Vermal's family probably has tons of rune knowledge, even if asking them sounds like a bad idea. Under stormy skies over a grand estate, his thoughts linger on that family power and the trouble it brings. After 30 minutes, Vermal claps his hands and says, "That's enough for today." Back at the board, he starts summarizing everything they learned, trying to sound organized for once. He explains runes like buckets and energy like water, with bigger runes holding more, and 7 full buckets merging into one better bucket. With a confident grin, Vermal asks if that makes sense, like he didn't just describe magic with household chores. Todd and Isabel nod again, but Todd's face says he still feels confused anyway. Vermil raises a finger and tells them good, stopping them before they overthink the next question. Closing his case, he says they'll end here and continue later because he doesn't want to overload them. Todd and Isabel share a look, both realizing something is off about Vermal today. Isabel points out Vermal is acting nothing like before and asks how hard he got hit in the head. Vermal brushes it off, saying it doesn't matter and he actually likes himself right now, which is a wild line for a guy who keeps dying. Todd agrees and says Vermal almost seems respectable, calling it progress like he's grading him on being less annoying. As they head for the door, Isabel calls out one last thing to keep the schedule straight. Vermal asks if the next class is in 2 days, scratching his head like he's afraid of missing another one. With that sharp tone, Isabel confirms it's 2 days, same time, and makes sure to call him Professor. Her eye narrows, basically daring him to be late again. Vermal waves them off with a smile and tells them to be on time, acting like he's the strict one here. Up close, he says keeping them on track is literally his job, though his grin looks a little too proud. Pointing at them, Vermal warns them to be prepared next time because he's not done with either of them. The moment they're gone, he rubs his forehead and admits he needs a break because the headache and fatigue are catching up. Stumbling into the dark hallway, Vermal wonders if exhaustion is a side effect of dying over and over. Suddenly, the darkness around him cracks like glass, and that sound is never a good sign. 2 days pass, and Vermal is in his office before class, holding his head and whining in his mind about how magic gives him brutal headaches. Even worse, he keeps thinking about Vermal's killer still lurking out there, and the window glare makes him feel like he saw something watching. Caught off guard, Vermal jolts with that full panic face like a rookie hero who heard the final boss theme early. Spinning toward the window, he looks for the threat, but the view is empty and quiet like nothing happened. Still sweating, he convinces himself he imagined a slasher and decides to focus on yesterday's training instead of doom spiraling. With a bright rune circle in his palm, he tests for stored energy, then taps the desk like he's jump-starting his brain. The desk and his tools explode into chaos, and Vermal scrambles to grab the rolling gadget before it becomes a flying weapon. Realizing his vibration and wind tricks work fine, he figures the problem is how he's using ash, not the rune itself. A sudden idea hits, and he rushes to a candle setup like a stressed science kid about to do the dumbest experiment. He lights the candle, then burns paper over it to make ash, watching closely like he's hunting for a hidden rule. As the paper turns to ash, he sees the flow and calls it perfect, finally getting a clean pile to work with. Vermal swirls the ash into a sharp, spinning shape, trying to show off like it's going to be his new signature move. After repeating the motion, he blurts out the real truth to himself. He can't create ash, but he can control it. Pointing at the idea like a teacher, he reminds himself runes control elements instead of making them, then wonders how much stronger, greater runes really are. Testing his control, he whips the ash into a gust and sends the whole table sliding like his lab just got hit by a mini tornado. The ash splashes harmlessly, and Vermal goes quiet when he realizes his ash attack has basically zero bite. Back in his chair, he admits it's still just ash, then connects the weakness to low stored energy and how Vermal relied on weak wind runes. Walking through the dark with runes floating around him, Vermal keeps thinking about the one rune he got rid of and the scary unknown thing he still can't name. In that heavy silence, he stares up into the void, looking way too serious for a guy who was just roasting his own ash 2 minutes ago. A massive purple rune fills the space, and even while he tells himself touching it is stupid, his foot keeps moving anyway. Reaching up, he stretches toward the glowing symbol, and his hand closes in like curiosity just won the fight. His eyes light up as he thinks maybe he can do it, and he reaches with one finger for the tiniest touch. The moment he makes contact, the energy flashes hard, and Vermal's face tightens like he just poked a live wire on purpose. A vision snaps into place. The god, Dikras, sits like a god on a broken throne, glowing eyes and all, making the room feel colder. Vermal watches Dikras face a chained insect monster, and the scene feels too real to be a normal dream. The monster lunges, but Dikras strikes it down with brutal ease, like he's swatting a mosquito that annoyed him once. The impact blows through the space, and Dikras steps forward calm and steady, not even acting tired. Floating runes appear around Dikras, and Vermal recognizes one labeled Insectoid Armor, realizing these symbols are the key. Vermal tries to memorize the rune, but Dikras simply destroys it, shattering the light like it's nothing. Instead of vanishing, the broken rune becomes glowing dust, and Dikras gathers it in his hand like he just proved a point. The dust pours to the ground in a neat pile, and Vermal understands the scary part. The rune wasn't destroyed, it was split. With more runes hovering behind him, Dikras stands proud, showing how cleanly the pieces separate and stay usable. Plucking the rune from the air, he demonstrates the effect again, and Vermal realizes the rune itself is teaching him what it does. Dikras settles back onto the throne as the giant symbol pulses, and the name hits like a title drop. Sunder, meaning to split. The monster is left as scattered parts on the floor, and Vermal learns the real danger. Sunder can split monsters and even split runes. Snapping back to himself, Vermal corrects his thinking and claims that power for his own future, imagining unmixing runes like pulling an egg back out of batter. He keeps the thought going, realizing he could combine and split runes without fear, basically gaining a cheat code for testing magic forever. Then reality punches him in the face when he notices the time, and the desk clock screams that he's about to be late. Vermal sprints out, deciding not to mess with Sunder yet because it nearly crushed him, but he still brags in his head that he found a master key to magic. As he locks up, a warning voice reminds him to lock doors to avoid another face stealer mess. And in class, Isabel instantly calls him out for being late. Vermeil apologizes while Isabel nags, and Todd jumps in asking what the lesson is, tossing out ideas like he's trying to speedrun education. Todd shows off swirling elements and acts slick, but Isabel shuts the grand talk down as Vermal says today is just a small field trip. The three head out to the training grounds, and Todd complains that Vermal doesn't even know his own answers, which is fair, but also classic Todd noise. Vermal admits he's not teaching directly and tells them to spar, and Isabel needles Todd by saying he's scared to lose again. Todd snaps back furious, insisting their last match was a tie and demanding another go, while Vermal watches like a messy referee enjoying drama. With both students fired up and ready to throw hands, Vermal cheers them on like a proud teacher who lives for chaos. Out on the academy training yard, the teacher watches while Todd and Isabel square up like they're about to settle lunch table beef with magic. They're wearing shield badges that only work inside the training grounds, basically the school's safety rails for when students get stupid. Todd talks big and throws a cocky challenge, while Isabel just brushes him off like he's background noise. With a snap, Todd sparks up fire rings around his fingers, and the teacher clocks it as a clever way to cast without showing runes. Vermal freaks out over her weird plasma-like rune and quietly wonders if he can learn that trick too. Not wasting time, Isabel powers up too, her hand glowing with a cold blue light as she accepts the fight. Todd launches in with a flaming punch, and Isabel meets him head-on as the clash lights up the yard. The impact keeps ripping through the air, showing Todd's brute force is no joke even if his ego is louder. The fire rush keeps pressing, and the exchange turns into a straight-up brawl with magic fists and steel nerves. Todd skids back from the shockwave. Isabel wipes sweat and roasts Todd for being all power with no control, then immediately worries he'll get her fired for letting this happen. Todd grins and forms a hot blast right in his palm, basically bragging that precision is overrated. Isabel slides under the flaming shots, dodging like she's done this 1,000 times and refusing to take a clean hit. Even while moving, she judges his aim as sloppy, because her standards are as sharp as her attitude. Todd fires a straight beam of flame, trying to force a hit with speed instead of finesse. Isabel blocks with her glowing blade, the blue edge biting into the fire as sparks explode everywhere. Todd's pressure knocks her weapon loose, and the teacher thinks it's over like he's watching a bad sports bet. Instead of backing off, Isabel jumps in anyway, which makes the teacher question reality and his career choices. She dives at Todd with both hands raised, coming in like a meteor even without a sword in hand. Seeing her close the gap, Todd panics hard because suddenly his plan looks dumb. Mid-air, Isabel materializes a new glowing sword and lines up a clean strike while the teacher loses his mind. Todd barely guards, taking the hit across his arms as fire sputters and his confidence takes damage. A close look at Todd's eyes shows he's still stubborn, the kind of guy who'd argue with a wall. His shield badge flashes, kicking up a barrier that saves him from eating the full power of that slash. Isabel slams down again, and Todd blocks behind the golden barrier, realizing she's got that killer focus in her eyes. Todd grits his teeth and braces, trying to hold his ground even though he's getting pushed around. The barrier finally cracks, shining pieces breaking apart like his pride just got shattered too. Todd curses through the pain, and you can tell he hates being outplayed more than he hates losing. His hand smolders from the heat and impact, the aftermath literally sizzling on the ground. Isabel stands over him and mocks the idea of calling this a tie, while Todd groans like he just got speed-runned. Todd sits up and starts making excuses, but the teacher shuts him down with a smack before he can spiral. Still salty, Todd points out she dropped her sword earlier, acting like that somehow means he was winning. Isabel claims she did it on purpose, and Todd doesn't buy it for even half a second. They get right in each other's faces, yelling back and forth like two shonen rivals who forgot the plot. Vermal clears his throat. Both students freeze and react like they just got caught by the principal. Clapping, the teacher praises the spar and admits their talk about him made him think they could barely cast at all. With a weird, proud grin, he says he was worried for nothing about getting them ready for the exam. Todd and Isabel immediately ask what he means by exam, because apparently nobody read the syllabus. Isabel blows up at him for rushing them, pointing out he only started teaching for real a week ago. Todd explains they had a deal for supplies and bribes, and Isabel is disgusted that Vermal was even considering it. The teacher calmly says the plan changed, while Todd and Isabel freak out about getting killed if they don't cheat. Frankly, she looks like that woman in that cat meme. Hearing the word killed, the teacher finally gets serious and asks what the test actually is. They scream that he doesn't even know, then drop the bomb that the exam is to kill a slasher. Vermal pictures the monster in his head and looks stunned, like he just realized that's it? He blinks in disbelief, because that is a wild final exam even for a magic school. Trying to sound confident, he claims their spar shows they can handle a slasher since the creatures are fast but predictable. Isabel snaps back that it's easy for him to say, accusing him of being the kind of guy who always had someone else do the hard part. The teacher says he's destroyed plenty of slashers, while Todd and Isabel walk off looking annoyed but listening. Todd calls his bluff, and Isabel adds that the only way he'd face a slasher is if it was tied up for him. In his head, the teacher misses respectful students and promises he won't fail these two, even if the whole system already did. Out loud, he refuses the bribe and orders weeks of real training, but offers to let them cheat only if they still lack confidence later. Todd starts shaking like he's about to throw up, while Isabel stares ahead, already accepting the new path. Isabel agrees to the deal, and Todd looks like his soul just left his body. She tells Todd they have to stop cheating if they want to get stronger, then warns Vermal not to get excited because he's still awful. The same message lands again in the moment, and Todd's shock only grows because she really said kill out loud. Vermal smirks and agrees with her insult because even he knows he's kind of a mess. Hours later, the scene jumps to the real test run, where a slasher is already mid-attack. After the fight, the teacher wipes his hands and thinks about getting 3 kills in a row, also realizing he can cast without showing runes by imagining them. Walking past a dead slasher, he decides Todd and Isabel will be fine if he can handle these monsters this easily now. In the forest, he notes that once you learn their patterns, slashers stop being scary surprises. He jokes to himself that they all fight the same, because maybe there's some drill sergeant monkey training them. That thought gets cut off when something fast and deadly comes screaming in from the side. A brutal hit smashes his face, spraying blood as the teacher's confidence gets deleted in one shot. He crashes down into a crater, a straight vertical impact like the forest just sentenced him. From his blurred view, a huge beast charges in, and the situation goes from lesson time to survival horror. The monster roars up close, looking nothing like the simple slashers he was bragging about. Even worse, it leans in and licks off its hand. It stomps forward, ready to finish him, and the air feels heavy with real danger. Noah's ghost hand appears through the darkness, reaching out as if someone unseen is stepping in. Noah materializes beside the fallen teacher, surrounded by dark smoke, looking angry enough to make the monster regret breathing. Suddenly, he senses something is wrong and panics, his head aching like being crushed. Noah clenches his glowing hand and encounters the new painful effect of his death. Morning hits, birds go full concert mode outside the window, and the guy in bed is already furious like he got jump-scared by nature. With zero patience, he yanks the curtains like that will cancel sound itself. Still half dead from sleep, he complains the chirping feels like nails in his head, and yeah, he looks wrecked. Lying there, he realizes the headache keeps getting worse every time he dies, which is a sentence no normal person should ever say. Staring into space and sweating, he starts wondering if even his endless extra lives have a limit. Snapping, Vermal storms to the window and screams at the birds. Sunlight blasts his face the second the curtains move, and he recoils because even the sun is bullying him today. Trying to reset, he turns on cold water and admits he got cocky, because those monkeys are still stronger than him. While he washes up, he worries that if Todd and Isabel meet a rock-throwing monkey, they die for real, no respawns. He splashes water on his face hard, listing all his problems like runes, monkeys, and keeping his students alive. Then the mirror goes full horror mode as a monster appears behind him. His eyes go wide in panic, because this is not the kind of surprise you want in a bathroom. Thinking it's some slasher, he whips around and throws a desperate attack toward the doorway. The strike only cuts air and sends scraps flying, leaving the hall empty and extra creepy. Realizing it was nothing, he laughs bitterly and admits constant fighting and dying is frying his brain. Dragging himself out, he decides he needs a drink, because coping skills are not his strong point. He pours liquor and downs it fast, like he's speedrunning emotional recovery. Once the burn settles, he shifts into planning mode, ready to tackle the next big problem. He writes a clean to-do list, fix the headache, upgrade runes, train Todd and Isabel, and find who wants him dead. Looking at it, he jokes that the assassin problem being last is kind of insane, then shrugs it off anyway. He decides to start with the headache, remembering he saw weird cracks in his soul hands after dying. His mind drops into that dark soul space, where glowing runes float and the damage looks way too real. He studies the same ruined soul scene closer, realizing this is not just pain, but actual spiritual wear and tear. The cracks are huge, but he notices they're slowly healing, which is the first good news in a while. Relieved, he admits the problem can fix itself, even if it's taking its sweet time. Doing the math, he figures it'll take weeks to fully heal, meaning he has to stop dying like it's a hobby. He repeats the conclusion to himself. This soul space is linked to him, and all that early dying damage almost became a disaster. A bright glare flashes in the void, signaling the healing is working, and he's happy to be done with that panic. He mentally checks off curing the headache and turns to the next task, feeling weirdly proud of basic progress. His vibration rune glows stronger, and he enjoys the upgrade like a teacher who finally got a class to behave. He takes another long look at that rune and the list below, feeling good that something is finally moving forward. Next up is training Todd and Isabel, but he admits the rock-throwing chucker monkeys messed up his plans. A brutal memory hits. A monkey hurls a rock so fast it basically deletes him on the spot. That same death replay shows why he couldn't even kill them sometimes, since he didn't always see the attack coming. Luckily, those chucker types only show up deeper in scorched acres, so training near the outskirts should keep the kids safe. Even with the headache getting worse each death, he learns their patterns and manages to handle them over time. A week passes and the school's tall towers sit quiet. With the exam close, he rushes out to meet his students, refusing to fail them the way Vermal did. He shows up smiling like a man with a plan, then immediately worries he's late again. Classic. Todd and Isabel are waiting, acting like they expected him to be unreliable, and they question if he's canceling. Leaning on the doorway, he shuts that down fast and tells them to get ready, since today is a big one. Todd asks why he suddenly cares so much about training now, like the timing is suspicious. Todd presses harder, and even Vermal pauses, realizing it's not easy to explain without sounding crazy. His mind flashes to a happier memory of a music room, reminding him what he lost back on Earth. He remembers watching his students play, and it stings because he never got the chance to see them succeed last time. The memory turns darker, showing him dying in a hospital while everyone stands there helpless. Back in the present, he swears he won't lose that chance again, while Todd and Isabel wonder why he's smiling like a creep. Keeping it simple, he says he cares because it's his job, even if his eyes say there's way more to it. He waves them along and tells them they've got places to be. The destination is a huge, weird tower with pipes and a cannon setup, basically magic engineering on steroids. Inside, he greets the old operator, Tim, and asks him to set the cannon to scorched acres, like this is just normal school transport. Tim welcomes him warmly and jokes about it being a field trip, because this old man has zero fear. The teacher explains it's training before the exam, and Tim agrees it sounds fine while Todd looks ready to faint. Tim says the cannon is ready, and Vermal tells the two students to follow, while Todd's stomach clearly taps out. Down by the cannon door, Isabel slumps and Todd bends over groaning, but the teacher pushes them to move anyway. Todd complains they're going to die out there, and Isabel straight up calls out how he talked them into this again. Vermeil tries to spin it as passion and self-growth, sounding like a motivational poster that lies. Isabel shuts that down by calling it blackmail, and Todd facepalms while the teacher shrugs like semantics matter. With the signal to fire, Tim slams the control, and the cannon powers up, because apparently consent is optional. Tim hits the launch again in one smooth motion, and the whole thing commits to sending them straight into scorched acres. In the dead, foggy forest, the crew spots a weird little monkey chilling on a branch while everyone below looks like they already regret coming outside. Vermal acts smug and pushes Isabel to go first, basically daring her to prove she can fight instead of just talking big. Not wanting to look weak, Isabel powers up her glowing blade and forces herself into a serious stance. Even while sizing it up, she doesn't treat the thing like a joke, and looks scared. With the monkey hanging above them, Isabel steps forward to engage while Todd and Vermal hang back. Watching closely, Vermal thinks she should win easily, but the sweat on his face says he is not fully buying it. A hand gathers energy, and the air warps like someone is about to demonstrate a lesson the hard way. Isabel lunges in with speed, swinging her blade with enough force to make the whole forest feel the pressure. The monkey's eye flashes red, and that tiny detail screams trouble louder than any warning sign. Her slash misses as the creature twists away, dodging like it has been doing this all day. Realizing she whiffed, Isabel's eyes tighten and she tries to track it before it counters. The monkey explodes into a feral mode, roaring with sharp teeth and going full menace. A bloody strike lands, and the hit is nasty enough that the scene basically paints the air red. Bruised and bleeding, Isabel gets a calm, almost insulting approval thrown her way for at least trying. Vermal casually points like he is calling shots in class, as he shot the monkey before it can hurt his student. He explains she needs to actually react to the monkey's patterns, while the thing lies there like it just got put on mute. Isabel snaps back, furious that everyone is acting like that attack was no big deal when she almost got cooked. Todd folds his arms and complains that people like them can't afford fancy protection, throwing shade at Vermal's background. Hearing the word shield, Vermal looks confused and asks if they mean those training ones, like he has never paid attention to normal student problems. Isabel calls him out as a Linwick, and Todd adds that even if it is true, he is not exactly the cool version of one. Vermal reaches for his clothes, moving like he is about to prove a point in the dumbest way possible. He strips down to show he has no shield at all, instantly turning the lesson into a cursed moment nobody asked for. Isabel and Todd roast him for coming here unprotected because wandering this forest without a shield is peak bad decision. Trying to process the logic, Vermal looks lost, like his brain is buffering on what danger even means. Todd yells that even a cheap shield would have helped, especially if a stronger monster shows up and wipes them. Vermal smirks and guesses they brought him as a human wall to buy time, calling out their plan like it is obvious. Todd basically admits it with full volume, while Isabel facepalms because the secret coward plan got exposed. Out of nowhere, a clawed strike snaps through the air, cutting off the argument like the forest is tired of their drama. Both students freeze in terror, realizing the attacker is a slasher and that their earlier panic talk just became real. Vermal smiles like a menace and says it is time for a field lesson because this guy really teaches like a villain with a syllabus. The slasher bursts from cover and smashes into a tree, wrecking it with raw force like a horror movie monster. Vermal steps forward with swirling energy and tells them to watch closely, setting up a live demo. The slasher looms over him, and Vermal calmly notes this kind of thing will be on the exam, which is wild to say while being hunted. A heavy step slams into the ground, cracking dirt and stone from sheer weight. The monster charges in a blur, roaring like it wants to turn him into a stain. Vermal slips aside from a huge slash and explains that slashers attack in only a few common ways, like they are predictable bullies. Keeping the same motion, he continues the explanation mid-dodge, making it look easy while the beast keeps swinging. Close up, Vermal's eyes sharpen with confidence, the kind that makes students hate him but also listen. The slasher slams down again, smashing the ground while Vermal avoids it by a hair. He gathers power into his fist and tells them they can beat these things. In a lightning-fast burst, Vermal rockets forward and carves through the monster with a clean, brutal hit. His fist smokes with leftover energy. Todd and Isabel stare in shock, realizing Vermal actually killed a slasher like it was target practice. Walking away from the corpse, Vermal reminds them the easiest shield is not getting hit. And yeah, that sounds cool until you try it. The two students look at each other, both trying to pretend they are not impressed and scared at the same time. Todd asks if he can go next, but Isabel refuses and says she has to redeem herself after getting embarrassed. Vermal decides it is Todd's turn anyway, and his face says he is not letting the kids run the class. Todd clicks his fingers and sparks a flame, prepping magic like he is finally taking this seriously. Flames swirl around Todd as Vermal explains he is teaching patterns, not telling them to rely on pure instincts. Todd launches a fiery strike upward, blasting a monkey out of the air while focusing on reading its movement. Isabel steadies herself and powers her glowing sword again, refusing to be left behind. She slices through another attack cleanly, and Vermal points out that fighting smart means you do not need a shield as a crutch. Both of them finish their kills, and Vermal tells them to keep repeating the pattern until it becomes natural. With the area calmer, the group talks through the lesson, and Todd admits he gets the idea even if he still wants to spend money on healing. The debrief continues, with Todd poking at Vermal's spending and the others realizing he might not get support the way they assumed. As the talk drags on, it becomes clear Vermal is pushing them to stop thinking like helpless students and start thinking like fighters. Vermal looks genuinely confused about families giving him anything, like the concept is a foreign language. Todd remembers Braden was also a Linwick, and the suspicion starts creeping in like a slow, ugly puzzle piece. He wonders if the Linwicks were behind the poisoned gourd, and now the forest lesson feels way more personal. Todd claps Vermal on the back while saying, "Only a maniac fights slashers with no shield and no healing," and Vermal just takes the hit like he's used to it. Vermal says he does not have a death wish, but he also does not fear death, which is the kind of line that makes teens go quiet. He explains fear has a purpose but also holds people back, revealing a dark past with his bodies in the background. Vermal admits he uses fear as a tool, even if lecturing about death feels messed up for him to do. But suddenly, Todd notices something off in the distance and asks what it is, breaking the mood fast. Vermal turns to look, saying he cannot see anything, but his face tightens like his instincts just screamed. His eye widens in alarm, and for the first time the teacher looks caught off guard. A huge monkey grips a branch and watches them, and Vermal realizes this is not even deep in the forest, which makes it worse. The beast roars, and Vermal identifies it as a chucker showing up where it should not be. Vermal orders Isabel and Todd to run back and not return no matter what they hear. Isabel hesitates and asks about him, but Todd drags her along, knowing they would only get in the way. The chucker grips a boulder and Vermal thinks through the problem, knowing he cannot win if he dies here. Vermal tells them he will be fine, because if he drops, the two kids die too, and he is not letting that happen. A rock launches like a cannon shot, and Vermal realizes the throw is not aimed at him, but at the fleeing students. The projectile keeps screaming through the air, and Vermal commits to intercepting it even if it costs him. With the blast closing in, Todd grabs Isabel's hand and rushes away. In the nick of time, Vermal quickly moves. Todd senses something behind them and freezes, his face dropping as he realizes what Vermal is about to do. Isabel also turns, eyes wide, as the danger catches up and the rescue becomes unavoidable. Vermal takes the hit head-on, getting crushed by the attack while the students scream for their professor. Blood sprays as Vermal's body buckles under the impact, ending the lesson with a brutal reminder that this forest does not care who is teaching.